Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Do You Know Minecraft, the informational video series where I cover interesting facts about the game you might not know about. In this episode we will be covering 20 secret changes in Minecraft 1.11. As far as I know, all of these changes were made in the development cycle of 1.11, and of course a secret isn't a secret if you know about it, so don't rage if you think some of these are not secrets. What I've tried to do is pick out 20 of the more obscure changes in 1.11 that I thought were interesting. So sit back, relax, count how many of the changes you didn't know about, and stick around to the end to find out why this fella is going absolutely bonkers. 1.11 has introduced a new villager known as the Cartographer. With him you can trade the Explorer maps, and also a secret villager was introduced as well, known as the Nitwit. It is the return of the green robed villager. This guy right here, you cannot trade with him. I'm going to right click. Can you hear that? I'm clicking away, nothing happens, there is no interface. But during the development of the game, you could actually right click on this guy and you would see his name Nitwit at the top and there would be no trades available. So that's how we know what this guy's name is, and you will probably see him in villages as he can spawn naturally and be spawned with an egg as well. The Blaze mob has a new weakness, although technically not. They've always been weak to water, but now a splash water bottle will do damage to them. So let's throw this over there. You can see that they've all died. And you may have noticed that there were no items dropping from the blazes. None have gone into the chest down here. And that might actually be considered a bug, because in a way it was killed by us. We threw the potion. However, the game sees it as the blazes not being killed by a player, which is why they didn't drop anything. These will also do damage to Endermen, who won't get aggressive at the player. So there you go, you see it takes damage, but it's not aggressive at me. And if you're wondering, it does both 1 heart of damage to the Enderman and the Blaze mob as well. Items with a GUI that have been renamed will now keep their name after you break them. So we've got 3 different containers right here, and all 3 of these will actually keep their name after they've been broken. So we break the chest and we can see the name right here, we place it down and it keeps its name as well, which is really cool. Now I think this will be especially useful for beacons though. If you've ever played in a multiplayer environment, players are always after beacons, you're always lending them out and borrowing them, and it can be a little hard to keep track of whose is whose, but this works with the beacon as well, so you can rename your beacon and it will keep it after it's been broken. Guardians that have been burned alive or killed by lava will now drop cooked fish. This is also true of the Elder Guardian, who will now drop a wet sponge instead of a dry one when killed. I've cranked up the volume because this one is no joke. We're going to spawn an Evo Cure in. This is an Easter egg with the illagers, and when we summon in a sheep and change it to blue, something crazy is going to happen. Did you hear that? And now the sheep has changed to red. That was no magic trick, it just happened to walk off the screen. Let's do it again. You'll see he changes the sheep colour to red. And from what I understand, this is supposed to be a reference to Age of Empires 2, a game that I did play, but I don't myself get the reference. An armor stand can now be renamed with a name tag. Let's grab one. Let's try to rename this thing. You can see the name tag disappeared. This thing has technically changed its name, but we don't see a name on the armor stand, right? So unfortunately, the only way to make use of this in survival if it's been summoned in with a command that is already displaying the name of the armor stand. So then when you use your name tag on it, it actually changes the name of the armor stand. What I really need to do right now is send someone a message. Can you believe it? This entire message is 255 characters long. In 1.10, your message would end here. That's because the old limit was 100 characters. Now you can spam your friends with 155 more letters of nonsense. Hooray! This is where the 255 limit ends. Yep, that's right. The chat message length has gone from 100 to 255. Out here in the desert we don't experience a lot of the rain, but if you happen to like the rain, then there is a new game rule that may interest you. This was added in 1.11 and it's called Do Weather Cycle. Now if you set this to false, it means that the current weather is never going to update. So currently it is thundering and raining and it will stay that way forever. If you set it to true, eventually the game will change the weather to either rain or just to sunny. So it may interest you. I imagine most people are going to use it to keep the skies nice and sunny. Everyone is loving these new Shulker boxes. They're amazing, right? But wait, that's an actual Shulker right there. Yet he's turquoise colour. What is going on here? There has been a new tag added to the game, which I think is fantastic. So you can get these Shulker boxes in 16 different colours. Shulkers can now be summoned with different colours as well. They have a tag, which is simply colour, and then a number system from 0 to 15, and you can now colour your Shulkers. If you're playing in creative mode, that is. Custom named bosses like the Ender Dragon and the Wither boss, which have a health bar displayed at the top of the screen, will now display their custom name up there. So using commands, I've given him a special name, and now it displays at the top of the screen. The Totem of Undying is no secret edition, but if you haven't seen this item before, it'll basically save you from death, and it does so with really cool particle effects and an animation as well. What is secretive about it is that it also works on mobs, so we're going to summon ones with low health up into the sky, and when they fall down, you can see the particle effect, the same one we saw a moment ago, being activated for this husk, because he's got a Totem of Undying in his hand. And here's a much clearer demonstration. This guy is clearly holding the totem and enjoying it. But let's break the glass. You can see he falls down and uses it. This next one might give you a case of deja vu. If you saw the last Secret Changes video we did, then this will be a very familiar sight as well as a ridiculous one as well. That's right, we got husks flying elytras over their native environment. What was introduced in 1.10 was a property called fly falling, which you could apply to a mob, which means if they had an elytra, they would fly with it, and it led to ridiculous things like this. The difference now is that the elytra will actually render on some mobs, so you can see the elytra wings on the back of the husk. I do have to say it though, I don't think mobs look quite as cool when they ride the elytra. In fact, they look pretty ridiculous if you ask me. Flower pots are pretty cool for decorations. What's annoying about them is that you've got to break that flower pot to get your flower back. In 1.11 though, sneaky little change they made, now you can just right click on it to get it back, which is extremely convenient. Do Savannah villages count as a secret change? I think not, they're probably pretty well known about, but this next one really isn't. The title command allows you to put text on the screen, and there's another place where text would appear on the screen previously, which is when you put a record into a jukebox. That can now be accessed using the title command. So here we can put a message down there saying look at me. We can also give it bold as well, and we can give it color. And so this uses the title command, but the addition, the new one, is the action bar. That is the name of the place where the text is going to appear. Remember the combat update 1.9 where they added shields? Shields that'll block your face? You can't see me now. I'm joking. Shields have been massively buffed in this update. Let's walk onto here. There's a creeper. Well, good thing we've got our shield, because if we block this guy when he explodes, yeah, no damage at all. Let's try that one more time, because apparently I've spawned another one. Boom. No hearts taken whatsoever. I see a bit of a problem forming here. Stop walking over my pressure plate. This also works with the Wither Skeleton too. Notice how I don't get withered. No wither hearts, no damage. That is a pretty big buff to the shield. Zombies can be quite a pain as well, especially when they're on fire. There we go. So if we block this, you'll see the zombie can't set us on fire. There are some fantastic changes to the shield, if you ask me. This next one is going to sound really strange, and to be fair, it's not very interesting either, but the chicken now has a bottom side to its neck. Right there you can see there is some texture. Now that sounds really strange, but if you've seen these guys in previous versions of the game, that little bit is missing. So let's jump back to 1.10 and do a comparison. Stand still, little fella. We want to drop below and look up. There you go, perfect. You can see the texture's missing on the bottom of his neck there. Once again, I've cranked up the volume because the Wither Skeleton now has its own set of sounds. There are 4 of them in total. The first one is ambient. There it is again. Then we have death. And then hurt. And last of all, we have the step sound. Here's another change that I really like. It works in survival, but I don't think it's really too useful, but it's an interesting little detail. So you've got a creeper, you splashed him with a poison potion, and now when this guy explodes, he's going to leave the lingering effect of the potion that was affecting him behind, and it works for more than just poison. So I've got speed here as well. We're going to use that on this guy. Over here we've got fire resistance, and you can see when this thing blows up, it leaves behind the lingering effect, which is a nice little detail, but not very practical. Do you remember the action bar I showed you earlier with the title command? Well, that has been used for a few other things as well. These messages used to appear in chat. Another one is when you try and build above the world limit. You'll see that message now appears where the action bar is. And with the inclusion of loot tables and how they generate, a spectator won't be able to open a minecart chest like this, but that message is now displayed where the action bar is. Last but not least, although technically not last, there's one more thing I'm going to show you after this. There is a new tag for tipped arrows, and it allows you to give them a custom colour. So these have no effects, but they do have their own fancy colour. Couldn't quite figure out the number system for these colours, but this is the tag, custom potion colour, and that's about as far as it goes. You'll only ever see that colour on the icon. As soon as you use the arrow, it'll lose the colour, there'll be no particle effects of the same colour, etc, etc. So a bit of a halfway implemented feature, and another one that I couldn't quite get my head round were for these filled map items right here. You see how this one has a different colour? Well, that's actually achieved using a tag called map colour. Although I couldn't manipulate it myself, you will be able to change the text and have it any colour you like. At the beginning of this video, I teased a secret with the Vindicator. This guy was going crazy. He was attacking the chicken and the rabbits that were in the area. And you can see at the moment that he's being pretty peaceful and not attacking anything. And that's because I am yet to rename this guy. So the secret is that you can grab a name tag. You can rename it to Johnny with one H and two N's. And when you rename this guy, he's going to go spare and attack everything in sight. So there goes the chicken. There goes the sheep. He'll even go after hostile mobs as well, and neutral mobs, which is technically what the pigman is. And there you go. The only thing I don't think he attacks is his fellow illagers, so he won't attack another Vindicator or the Evoker. And I do believe that the name is a reference to a classic piece of cinema known as The Shining. And that's it from me. If you have enjoyed it, please leave a like and share the video. As always, thank you for your support, and leave a comment down below letting me know how many of the 20 secret changes you knew about. So as always, thanks for watching the video, and I'll catch you next time. Bye bye.